What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have military history of the UK in 8 minutes. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, get a video a thumbs up, and let's find out this military history.
Imagine an island so rainy, its soldiers probably trained in mud by default, a country that built an empire just to ensure everyone drinks tea the right way, whose military history includes knights, redcoats, spitfires, and commandos that sneak into enemy territory with a dagger and a dry sense of humor. This is the military history of
A dagger and a dry sense of humor.
the United Kingdom. In 8 minutes, let's get stuck in. Long before the Union Jack and awkward small talk, the British Isles were already a war zone. First, the Celts painted themselves blue and charged into battle screaming. Then the Romans came in, shrugged, and built walls, because clearly no one sane was going up north. After they left, the island turned into a rotating door of invaders: Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Vikings. Basically early medieval Airbnb, but with swords.
Everything just constantly coming. Like this island, everybody constantly coming to conquer it. You get rid of one conqueror and the next one's lined up ready to come.
Then came 1066, the Battle of Hastings. A Norman duke named William crossed the Channel, saw England, and said, "You know what would look good here? Castles, loads of them." And just like that, Anglo-Saxon England got a French upgrade, with chainmail, a new ruling class, and more aggressive taxes. From then on, British identity was forged in blood, feudalism, and deep-rooted disdain for the French. Fast forward a couple of centuries, and
That's all you need to come together. You just need the right enemy. You need someone that everybody can unite against. Sometimes that's what it's more than something that people can unite to fight for. Sometimes you need something that people can unite against.
England is now having regular scuffles with France, because nothing says healthy diplomacy like 116 years of war over who gets to wear the crown and insult the other's mother. During the 100 Years' War, the English rolled out their secret weapon, the longbow. Cheap, deadly, and operated by angry peasants who'd had enough of feudalism, these bows turned French knights into medieval pincushions. Meanwhile, at home, England was busy self-sabotaging. The Wars of the Roses erupted. Two royal families, the Lancasters and the Yorks, playing an extended game of who wants to be king by stabbing each other repeatedly. Eventually, Henry Tudor wins, marries
People just get greedy. Everybody get greedy. Power is corrupt. Power corrupts. It has that ability to corrupt. There are some people who are able to handle it, and there are some people who can't. What's that Spider-Man line? Right? Oh, I honestly can't. It's one of the most famous lines in Spider-Man history, and I can't remember. Oh, those with great power have great responsibility. That's such a fact. And when Spider-Man said, "When you can do what I can do, and things happen, and you don't do anything, then it's your fault." But yeah, it is power. Power corrupts. People killing each other. All of this, and that's history. That's the world. That's the history of the
to
world.
York and unites the houses. And the British royals learn a valuable lesson: marry your rivals before they kill you. Then came the age of exploration, and Britain realized, if we can't stop fighting people here, maybe we should fight people over there. Enter the Navy. Under Queen Elizabeth I, the Royal Navy transformed from a bunch of wet wood and hopes into a professional fighting force. In 1588, Spain sends the Armada, 130 ships strong, to invade England and return it to Catholicism. England responds with fire ships, superior seamanship, and gale force winds that clearly had a personal vendetta against the Spanish. From this moment on, Britannia doesn't just rule the waves, it dominates them. The Royal Navy becomes the muscle behind Britain's growing influence. It protects trade routes, enforces blockades, and delivers colonialism with extreme prejudice. If there was ocean, there was a British warship on it. If there was land, someone with a British accent probably claimed it in the name of the crown. usually while mispronouncing the local names. The 18th and 19th centuries were the empire's golden age, and
That's crazy to think the empire was that humongous, that strong. They controlled the waters. They claimed land. I mean, I'm so big that the sun never set on the British Empire. For them to have an empire of that magnitude, it's just insane to think that they could grow something that big.
everyone else's nightmare. Britain fought a series of global wars against France, Spain, and the Dutch, racking up colonies like they were Pokemon. In the Seven Years' War, arguably the first true world war, Britain emerged victorious, snagging Canada and much of India in the process. And when Napoleon came around declaring liberté, égalité, artillery, Britain said no thanks, and spent the next 2 decades funding coalitions to stop him. The 1805 Battle of Trafalgar proved British naval supremacy, with Admiral Nelson smashing the French and Spanish fleets, albeit fatally for himself. And in 1815, the Duke of Wellington, who famously described his own troops as the scum of the earth, led a coalition that finally defeated Napoleon at Waterloo. Britain was now the world's policeman, but instead of sirens, it had muskets, tea, and confusing rules about queuing. By the Victorian era, redcoats were marching from Canada to Calcutta, South Africa to Singapore. The sun famously never set on the British Empire, mainly because it was always invading somewhere. And while many remember the pomp and prestige, others remember it a bit more. Critically, you try explaining colonial taxation to the Americans without a tea party breaking out.
Facts. I feel like, yeah, like as much greatness comes from the British having the biggest empire in the world, and it's such incredible history for the Brits. For not everybody wants to celebrate that, right? What Britain had to do to gain the biggest, everything that they had to do to gain the biggest empire in the world was kill a lot, was steal a lot, was right control things, manipulate things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like just criticizing the British history because the crusade against slavery was absolutely humongous, which was led by the Brits. They freaking ended up paying so much money that they started losing power because they were paying people to free their slaves, I believe, people at home, and then they were sending ships out to fight people who were still trying to trade slaves. So the Brits were huge. The freaking industrial age, come on, like they set that into motion and they created that. And so don't get me wrong, the Brits have done such incredible things for the world, but a lot of countries are going to remember the tragedies that they suffered from British colonialism. um, let's keep it going.
Then came the 20th century. Big mustaches, bigger egos, and one very, very bad idea. World War I kicked off in 1914 and quickly became a trench-slogging, gas-hurling, soul-crushing affair. The British Expeditionary Force was small but professional, and about to get chewed up in battles like Ypres, the Somme, and Passchendaele. At the Somme, Britain lost over 57,000 men on day one. Let that sink in. That's like wiping out an entire stadium crowd before lunch. Still, the war effort was massive. Soldiers from across the empire, from India, Australia, Canada, the Caribbean, and Africa, fought alongside British troops in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. This was global war, and it shattered the old world. When the war finally ended in 1918, Britain had won, but the empire was bruised, the economy was tanked, and the soldiers forever changed. Never again, they said. Spoiler, again came sooner than expected.
Yeah.
Hitler rolls into Poland. France and Britain say, all right, that's enough of that, and World War II begins. At first, things go terribly. France falls in 6 weeks. Belgium folds. Norway's gone. Britain completely alone. But then, Britain digs in. The Battle of
This to me is where Britain literally like cement. I mean, they had already cemented their place in history, but this handing Hitler and those Germans against insurmountable odds, overwhelming odds. No way. You look at it on paper. You look at Britain versus Germany. There's no way on planet Earth that Britain was ever supposed to win. 10 times out of 10, Germany should win that. But that's the Brits for you, man. They make magic. They fight everybody. They fight. They just don't die, right? They're not just gonna die laying down. They're gonna fight and they're gonna figure out a strategy, and that's what they did. All right, let's the Battle of
Britain sees the RAF, outnumbered, under pressure, defend the skies against the Luftwaffe, thanks to radar, plucky pilots, and a lot of Winston Churchill's yelling, Hitler's invasion plan crumbles. Meanwhile, British commandos are invented, because someone thought, what if we dropped insane men behind enemy lines with knives and sabotage training? Turns out, highly effective. From North Africa to Normandy, British forces fight across every theater. Montgomery defeats Rommel in the desert. The Royal Navy escorts convoys through U-boat-infested waters. And on D-Day, British troops storm Sword, Gold, and Juno beaches with Canadians, Americans, and a worrying amount of tea in their kit bags. By 1945, Hitler's dead, the war is won. And Britain, broke, battered, but standing tall. After the war, Britain's empire collapses faster than a soggy scone. India goes independent, African nations follow, and suddenly, British subject becomes just subject. But Britain doesn't give up being relevant. During the Cold War, the UK becomes a founding member of NATO, keeps a powerful navy, and builds nuclear weapons. Because if you can't have an empire, at least have deterrence. Then came 1982.
If you can't have an empire, at least have deterrence.
Argentina invades the Falklands. Britain launches Operation Corporate, a naval task force including aircraft carriers, subs, and Gurkhas. 8,000 miles later, in freezing weather and brutal terrain, British forces retake the islands. All for some sheep, sovereignty, and a message. Don't poke the post-imperial lion. Today, the UK military isn't the biggest, but it is among the most advanced. The British Army wields modern kit, Challenger 3 tanks, Ajax reconnaissance vehicles, and enough bureaucratic delays to build a base in peacetime. The Royal Navy? Still top tier. Queen Elizabeth and Prince of Wales are giant aircraft carriers floating around the Indo-Pacific like floating Brexit ads. And beneath the surface lurk the Trident submarines, 4 Vanguard-class SSBNs, each carrying nukes that can ruin your week in under 30 minutes. And then there's the SAS. Small, lethal, unreasonably calm. If you ever hear "who dares wins," it's either them or someone trying to sell dodgy crypto. So what is Britain's military legacy? It's a patchwork of glory and guilt, of conquest and courage.
Oh, I absolutely agree with the way he summed it all up. Like I said, the Brits, man, I think that those world wars just really hurt them in the sense of, and all those wars they were stretched too thin. Like your empire was so big, you had to defend so many places. Like that had to have been extremely difficult. But what they did was absolutely legendary, and what they did against Hitler in World War II. And they had, I think, like I'm glad he mentioned the help like they had, because like people fighting alongside of them. We're talking about like Polish pilots, their country gets taken over, they go and fight for the UK. They do an incredible job. So people of different countries that may have been conquered by Hitler and the Germans already, you got soldiers coming and trying to help fight it. But the UK, not just the soldiers, every man, woman, and child did everything that they can to help with the war effort. And that's Britain's identity, if you ask me. Everybody coming together, right, when necessary, and doing what needs to get done. Every man, woman, and child was important, and it was incredible to see, because I got to see videos of the rations that they had. You see videos about these women going into these factories and producing so many weapons, ammo, and everything, because so many of the men are fighting in the wars, and so everybody did their part. It was yeah, as British history, right? It's full of glory, but it's also full of things that, in order to get to that glory, that are very criticized today, understandably so. But I think that's what happens in everybody, in anything. When you get to the top, it's most likely you didn't do it with your hands clean. That's all we've got. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.